Good morning, folks. Well, color me confused. Did somebody at the Guardian in the UK discover journalism? Shocking story here this morning. I mean, absolutely gobsmacked. This story is objective and mostly honest. It's written by Rachel Savage in the Guardian. And the title of the article in the Guardian this morning is "The White Afrikaners Lining Up to Accept Trump's Offer of Asylum." Actually listens to folks. Now, the New York Times author John Elegant was supposed to do a story like this. I don't know if he ever did it. Some of the people who have been interviewed, he asked to speak to them. I gave them his number, and a few of them called him, but I haven't seen that story. But this is from The Guardian, and they talk to South Africans who have been victims of violent crime, who are Afrikaners, and they're pretty good. Now, they do delve into typical leftist bilge, a couple paragraphs here in which they say white Afrikaner governments racially segregate every aspect of life, from relationships to where people are allowed to live, apartheid, repressing South Africa's black majority. And of course, they're grammatically incorrect. The whites are lowercase and the blacks are uppercase. Once again, so they don't get a free pass on that. That's grammatically incorrect. If the black majority is capitalized, then the white minority must be capitalized as well, because you're not using black and white as adjectives, you're using as nouns. But in this case, they denigrate white people by putting it lower. Stupid leftist games. So there's a little bit of leftist games in here. They go on about affirmative action created black elite, but nurtured disenfranchisement. Less than 2/3 of white South Africans agree that apartheid deprived black people of their livelihoods. I don't know where they got that from. They're claiming the 2023 Reconciliation Barometer, the Institute for Justice and Reconciliation think tank. Well, who the hell are those guys? Never heard of them before. And less than 2/3 agree that apartheid deprived black people of their livelihoods. I mean, that sounds rather bogus. Kind of like the Ipsos poll that says that the DA is at 30%. It's a little hard to believe either of those stories. But they do, beyond those three paragraphs, they talk fairly and honestly about what's going on, interviewing some South Africans, including someone named Kyle Chili Chomsa. He's interviewed here. And then also some other folks, the Richter family, who didn't mind having their name put in the media. That's interesting. They got a picture of Oranje because one of the people interviewed lives in Oranje, but he doesn't even feel safe there. He says he's safe in Oranje, but when he leaves Oranje, he's still in South Africa, where it's dangerous. And they mentioned Sam Busa in here. Of course, we've dealt with Sam from the Afrikaners. Yeah, it's interesting. Pretty reasonable story. I'm gobsmacked. Aside from the three paragraphs that are typical leftist bilge, it's pretty fair and accurate. And what's going on here? Is the media beginning to wake up to the reality? I doubt it. Maybe they just let this one story slip through so they can pretend that they're an objective media site. But The Guardian is anything but an objective media site, unless it's reporting on rugby, and then it's pretty good. Anything else is just bilge. But Rachel Savage, 3 leftist paragraphs, but the rest of this is pretty good. I'm actually going to put the link below the video and recommend you go read it. It's not bad. I mean, I'm gobsmacked. I don't know what to say. I mean, I halted my breakfast just to finish reading this article. Yes, and she does say that South Africa remains deeply unequal more than 30 years since the system ended of apartheid, but that's because of the ANC, not because of apartheid, not because of Jan van Riebeck. It's because of BEE, which enriches a small group of people at the expense of the entire population. It's because of legislation that deprives people of opportunities to build a business, to get contracts with the government. It's because of a system that denies people their basic human rights, despite being a signatory to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Anyway, regardless of that, I'm really impressed by what is written here. Again, this one segment in the middle, take that out, the rest of it's pretty good. So Kate Lefo Everett, the report's author that I was talking about, says the level of contact and interaction between South Africans and different race groups has not really changed substantially. I don't know what planet Kate Lefko Everett is living on, but that's a lie. That's a factual lie. There may be huge numbers of South Africans who haven't changed their interaction patterns, but first off, why does that matter? Why do Xhosa have to hang out in nightclubs and date Zulu? Why do Afrikaners have to date Ndebele? That's just nonsense. The interaction, there's plenty of interaction. Have you ever been to some of the restaurants and bars and malls? And you know, that's the dishonest part. Okay, so I've just given the author complimentary statements, but I'm going to make a complaint here about this person, Kate Lefko Everett, who writes this horse shit about no interaction. You know, during apartheid, black folks weren't in the shopping malls, the few that there were. Black folks weren't here. Black folks weren't there. So, I mean, I don't know what kind of interaction she wants. You want people knocking boots, producing babies? Is that the kind of interaction she's looking for? Of course, interactions change substantially. And now it's swinging back the other way with the blatant, overt racism and racist statements and threats made against white South Africans because of the current political climate, where people act with impunity to just abuse white South Africans and others. But they do so because they feel empowered, because the government is moving against ethnic minorities with its legislation, with its expropriation without compensation, and lying about land possession in this country. It's unbelievable. I've been contacted by a news agency who wrote an article, and I said that they wrote to me and said, hey, what's going on? Are you still here? Because I want to get together for conversation. I said, sure. But did you read our recent article? I said, yeah, I read the article. And I said, well, I have problems with it. Really? Yeah, I have problems with it. When you mislead people because people being lazy or being dishonest and reporting things like the whites own 72% of the land. That's not even remotely true. It's never been remotely true since 1994. It's a total pile of BS. But I got to tell you, this is shockingly objective Guardian story. I don't know what to say other than I'm actually somewhat impressed. Well done to the Guardian. It's a shocker. But again, they can't be entirely objective. They got to stick some leftist nonsense in there. But anyway, feel free to read the article and come back and give me your thoughts on it afterwards. You can comment on this video and you can comment on what I had to say if you like. And anyway, folks, you can feel free to comment on both here on this channel. Thanks a lot.